Your life will never rise higher than your thoughts. If you allow negative thoughts to control you, they will poison your future, weaken your confidence, and suffocate your destiny. But if you reset your mind, you can reset your life. You don't need a new year, a new relationship, or a new environment. What you need is a new mindset. Because the battlefield of your future is not out there. It's in here. Today, I'm going to show you how to stop negative thoughts instantly and replace them with thoughts that empower, elevate, and position you for success. Every single action you take, every word you speak, and every decision you make is first born in the hidden chambers of your mind. Your thoughts are not harmless whispers. They are forces shaping your destiny. If you constantly think small, your life will shrink to fit that picture. If you constantly think fear, your opportunities will look like threats. But when you start to think with clarity, courage, and conviction, suddenly your entire environment begins to align with that mindset. Life doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you demand through your thoughts. Think about it. The chair you're sitting on, the building you're in, the phone in your hand, it all began as a thought in somebody's mind. Thoughts are seeds, and every seed carries within it the potential to create forests of reality. If one negative thought can ruin your entire day, imagine what one positive thought can do for your entire future. People underestimate the power of their own thinking because thoughts are invisible. But the invisible always controls the visible. Just because you can't hold your thought in your hand doesn't mean it isn't shaping the reality you're standing in. A person who wakes up in the morning and says, "Today is going to be terrible, I just know it," will subconsciously move through the day looking for evidence to confirm it. And guess what? They will find it. But someone else who wakes up and says, "Today I'm going to seize opportunities. I'm going to learn. I'm going to grow." Even when obstacles appear, their mind is primed to find a way through. The only difference is not in their circumstances, but in their mindset. When you allow negative thoughts to take root, it's like planting weeds in the garden of your mind. At first, they seem small, harmless, even unnoticeable. But leave them alone, and they spread, choking out everything good, everything promising, until all you see is struggle. But when you deliberately plant thoughts of possibility, faith, strength, and gratitude, your mind becomes fertile soil where dreams grow strong, resilient, and unstoppable. I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, what am I consistently thinking about? Not the fleeting ideas that come and go, but the dominant thoughts that sit in the back of your mind every single day. Are they empowering you or imprisoning you? Are they building your confidence or tearing it down? Because your life is simply the harvest of your most dominant thoughts. Look at the person who constantly says, "I'm unlucky. Nothing ever works for me." They will miss opportunities because they've already convinced themselves that life has closed its doors. Their eyes are blinded by their belief. On the other hand, the person who says, "Even if one door closes, another will open," will spot windows of opportunity that others never even notice. This isn't magic. It's the power of thought shaping perception and perception shaping reality. There are people who walk into a crowded room and immediately think, "No one here will accept me." That single thought shapes their body language, their tone, their presence. And people, without realizing it, respond to that insecurity. But someone else walks into the same room thinking, "I have value to contribute," and their confidence draws others in. The circumstances are identical. The difference is the power of thought. Your thoughts are architects. They design the blueprint of your future. If the design is flawed, The building of your life will collapse under pressure. But if the design is strong, aligned, and intentional, then no storm, no criticism, no obstacle can bring you down. And the truth is, you are the only one who can decide which blueprint your mind is drawing right now. We live in a world where negativity is everywhere. News headlines scream fear. Social media amplifies comparison. People around you may pour doubt into your ears. But hear me clearly, you have the authority to choose your thoughts. No one else has access to your inner world unless you grant it. The greatest freedom you will ever exercise is the freedom to decide what you dwell on. Imagine two farmers standing in the same field with the same soil. One plants corn, the other plants poison ivy. The soil doesn't discriminate, it grows whatever is planted. Your mind is the same. It doesn't decide for you whether to grow success or failure, confidence or fear. It will grow whatever you plant. That's why you must recognize the power of thought, because your future harvest depends on today's seeds. Think of the people who inspire you most. They are not superhuman. They are simply people who chose to master their thinking. They discipline their mind to focus on solutions, to expect favor, to believe in possibilities, and to reject the crippling weight of doubt. And because of that, they live on a level that others call extraordinary. But extraordinary is simply ordinary people with extraordinary thoughts. You are one thought away from a breakthrough, and one thought away from destruction. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is not talent, not resources, not background. It is the relentless choice of thought. If you think you can, you begin to unlock ways to make it possible. If you think you can't, you've already lost the battle before you even begin. This is why every successful person guards their mind like a treasure chest. They know that thoughts determine attitude. Attitude determines action, and action determines destiny. You can change your environment, change your job, even change your location. But if you don't change your thinking, your life will eventually repeat the same cycles. The power of thought is the power of creation. It is the womb where your future is conceived. It is the steering wheel that drives you toward destiny or disaster. Once you truly recognize this, you will no longer allow negative thoughts to have free rent in your head. You will treat your mind like a palace and only allow thoughts that honor your greatness, your potential, and your purpose to live there. When a negative thought shows up in your mind, you cannot afford to entertain it, because thoughts are like uninvited guests. The longer you let them stay, the more comfortable they become. A negative thought doesn't arrive with a small voice. It comes disguised as reason, as logic, as truth. It whispers, "You're not good enough." And if you listen, it builds a case against your own potential. It says, "You'll never succeed." And suddenly, every mistake you've made in the past plays in your mind like a movie on repeat. The truth is, the thought itself isn't powerful until you give it permission to stay. The moment you agree with it, it takes root. And once it takes root, it begins to shape your confidence, your behavior, and eventually your results. That's why you must interrupt the pattern instantly. The most dangerous thing you can do is let a negative thought go unchecked. If you notice a leak in your house, you don't wait 6 months to fix it. You patch it immediately, because you know the longer it leaks, the more damage it causes. Your mind works the same way. A single drop of negative thought, if ignored, can flood your entire confidence, your peace, and your focus. The quicker you shut it down, the easier it is to control. Think of a person who's about to step on stage to speak in front of a crowd. Suddenly the thought comes, "You're going to embarrass yourself. You're not prepared." If they don't interrupt that thought, their hands will shake. their voice will break, and the very thing they feared will come to pass. But if in that exact moment they stop, take a breath, and declare out loud, I am prepared, I have value to share, and I am confident, the negative thought is silenced before it spreads. The event hasn't changed, but the outcome shifts because the mind was interrupted and reset. You can't just wish negative thoughts away. You must replace them. Silence alone isn't enough. If you try not to think of something, your mind will actually think of it more. For example, if I tell you, don't think of a red apple, immediately your mind pictures a red apple. That's how your thoughts work. The only way to drive out a negative thought is to replace it with a stronger, intentional one. That's why when fear says, you're not capable, you must immediately respond with, I am equipped, I am growing, and I am unstoppable. When doubt says, no one believes in you, you answer with, I believe in myself, and my vision is greater than the opinions around me. Have you noticed how negative thoughts grow in silence? The more you keep them locked inside, the louder they get. That's why you need to speak. Your voice interrupts the cycle of thought. When you speak words of power, your ears hear it, your body feels it, and your mind resets to the new reality. This is not just positive talk, it's mental warfare. Every time you open your mouth with strength, you weaken the grip of negativity. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine someone walking to an important job interview. As they travel, the thought comes, you're not qualified for this. They'll see through you. If they allow it, that thought will drain their energy, shrink their confidence, and sabotage the interview before it even begins. But if they interrupt it right there by saying, I have prepared for this moment. I carry skills that are valuable. I will present myself with strength. That shift in mindset translates into how they shake hands, how they speak, and how they respond. And often that single mental interruption is the difference between rejection and success. Negative thoughts are like sparks. One spark doesn't seem dangerous, but if it's not put out quickly, it can start a fire that burns down the entire house. That's why you must treat every negative thought with urgency. Don't delay. Don't postpone. Don't argue with it. Cut it off at the root. Replace it with a word of power, a declaration of truth, a reminder of who you are and what you're capable of. The mind will always produce thoughts, but you are the gatekeeper of which ones are allowed to stay. Life will always throw situations that try to feed negativity into your mind. You may hear criticism, you may face rejection, you may encounter setbacks, but you have the ability to interrupt the thought that follows. If someone says, you'll never make it, don't sit with it. Don't let it echo in your head for hours. Interrupt it with, this setback is preparation for my comeback. I am moving forward. If the circumstance whispers, this is the end, you respond, no, this is the beginning of something new. People who learn to interrupt negative thoughts instantly live with a different energy. They walk into rooms differently. They pursue opportunities differently. They recover from failure differently. Because negativity is not allowed to dictate the direction of their life. They take control of the inner dialogue before it takes control of them. They understand that the first voice may not be theirs. The first thought may be fear, insecurity, or doubt, but the final voice will always be theirs. And that final voice determines destiny. You don't have to wait for courage to show up before you interrupt negativity. Courage comes after you interrupt it. You don't have to feel strong before you speak strength. Strength comes because you chose to declare it. This is how you take back control of your mind. By refusing to let the first thought dominate and choosing instead to plant the right thought instantly, You shift the entire trajectory of your day, your week, and ultimately, your life. Your mind has an incredible ability to lock onto whatever you give it permission to focus on. If you focus on problems, those problems grow larger, louder, and heavier. If you focus on possibilities, opportunities begin to show up where they never seemed to exist before. The human brain cannot process two dominant thoughts at the same time. You cannot think about fear and faith at once. You cannot dwell on failure and focus on success simultaneously. That means the fastest way to reset your mind is to shift your focus. The direction of your life will always follow the direction of your attention. Consider a person who is learning how to drive. If they keep staring at the car on the side of the road, fearful of hitting it, their hands unconsciously turn the wheel toward the very thing they are trying to avoid. This is the same way negative focus works. The more you fixate on what you don't want, the more you drift toward it. But if you keep your eyes on the lane ahead, on your own direction, your vehicle naturally follows. Life responds in the same way. Whatever you stare at in your mind's eye, you begin to steer toward. Think about how many times you've said to yourself, I don't want to fail, I don't want to mess up, I don't want to be embarrassed. And yet the fear of those very things often causes them to happen. Why? Because your mind was trained to focus on the negative outcome. But when you shift that focus to success, to preparation, to growth, your entire posture changes. You move differently, speak differently, and act with the confidence of someone who expects a positive result. Shifting focus is not denial. It is discipline. It is not ignoring reality. It is choosing which reality you give power to. Every day you are bombarded with voices, headlines, distractions, and opinions. If you don't intentionally direct your focus, the world will decide for you, and it will always lead you toward fear, comparison, and insufficiency. But the moment you take control of your focus, you take control of your emotions. And when you control your emotions, you take control of your actions. Imagine walking into work after a long night of failure or rejection. If your focus is on how you were let down, you'll carry that energy into every conversation, every decision, every task. People will sense it, and opportunities will withdraw from you. But if you shift your focus onto the lessons learned, the growth you gained, and the chance to start fresh, you walk into that same workplace with an energy that attracts solutions, collaboration and progress. Same person, same environment, but two very different outcomes, simply because of focus. Your focus is a magnet. If you focus on pain, you'll see more reasons to hurt. If you focus on gratitude, you'll discover blessings hidden in plain sight. There are people living in the same house, with the same income, with the same challenges. One is bitter, the other is joyful. The difference is not the situation, but the focus. One stares at what is missing, the other stares at what is present. One focuses on obstacles, the other focuses on opportunities. Life becomes heavy or light not by circumstance, but by the weight of your focus. When storms hit your life, you can choose where to look. Some stare only at the waves and convince themselves they will drown. Others lift their eyes beyond the storm and fix their focus on the possibility of reaching land. One sees defeat, the other sees resilience. Your focus doesn't remove the storm, but it decides whether you sink or sail through it. You can shift focus in practical ways. When negative thoughts rise, open your mouth and declare something positive. When stress builds, pause and list 3 things you are grateful for right now. When your mind circles around a problem, ask yourself instead, what is the solution I can take action on today? Even small shifts like this have the power to rewire your brain. Focus is a muscle. The more you train it toward the right direction, the stronger it becomes. Picture a professional athlete who has just lost a critical game. If they stay locked on the loss, their confidence spirals downward, making the next game even harder. But the great ones reset by shifting focus. They analyze the lessons, make adjustments, and then direct their focus onto the next opportunity. They don't allow one bad performance to dictate their career because they've trained their minds to see beyond the moment. The same principle applies to your life. One bad day, one mistake, one rejection does not define you unless you keep focusing on it. Have you ever noticed how children can fall, scrape their knee, cry for 5 minutes, then see a toy or hear a song and instantly start laughing again? That is the natural gift of shifting focus. As adults, we forget how to do this. We replay hurts for years. We rehearse insults. We dwell on betrayal. But the power to shift focus is still within us. It is the key to resetting the mind and unlocking freedom from negativity. Your focus shapes your emotions, and your emotions shape your decisions. If you focus on what is gone, you'll make choices from a place of loss. If you focus on what is possible, you'll make choices from a place of hope. That's why two people can face the same trial, and one comes out broken, while the other comes out stronger. The difference is not in the weight of the trial, but in the direction of their focus. Every successful person you admire has mastered this art. They feel pain, they face rejection, they deal with fear just like everyone else. But they don't let their focus sit in that place. They train themselves to look toward growth, solutions, opportunities, and the future. And because they focus differently, they live differently. You may not be able to control every thought that enters your mind, but you can control what you focus on. That choice, repeated daily, will either trap you in cycles of negativity or release you into a life of peace, progress, and unstoppable strength. Discipline of the mind is the greatest weapon you will ever possess, because without it, every dream will collapse under pressure. A brilliant idea without discipline dies unfinished. A strong body without mental discipline gives up at the first sign of discomfort. A person with talent but no control over their thoughts will sabotage their own success long before the world ever does. The mind is like a wild horse. It has energy, passion, and power, but without training it will run in every direction, dragging you into chaos. With discipline, that same wild energy becomes focused, harnessed, and unstoppable. Resetting your mind is not something you do once when you feel down. It is a lifestyle you must train daily. Just like you cannot eat healthy food for 1 week and expect a lifetime of health, you cannot think positively for 1 day and expect a lifetime of success. Discipline is about consistency, and consistency shapes destiny. When you build the discipline to guide your thoughts every day, even in the small moments, you begin to rewrite the patterns of your brain. Over time, it becomes natural for you to respond with strength instead of weakness, with confidence instead of fear, with clarity instead of confusion. Look at athletes who win gold medals. Their secret is not just talent, but mental discipline. They train their bodies, yes, but they also train their minds. When the pain hits during practice, their discipline reminds them. This pain is temporary, but the victory is permanent. When fatigue whispers, "Stop, you've done enough," their disciplined mindset declares, "One more rep, one more mile, one more push." That same principle applies to you. When discouragement tells you to give up on your business, your relationship, your dream, a disciplined mind responds, "I've come too far to quit now." Every day, life will test your discipline. You will face distractions designed to pull your focus away from what matters. You will hear voices of doubt trying to drown out your vision. You will encounter setbacks that make you question your worth. Discipline is the voice inside you that says, stay the course. It is the habit that keeps you studying when others are scrolling, planning when others are complaining, and preparing when others are sleeping. Without discipline, potential is wasted. With discipline, even the smallest seed of potential can grow into greatness. Consider the student who wants to excel. If they rely only on bursts of motivation, they will study today and neglect tomorrow. Their results will be inconsistent. But the disciplined student studies, even when they don't feel like it, because they understand that discipline produces consistency, and consistency produces excellence. The same is true for your thoughts. If you only control them when life feels easy, you will collapse when life feels heavy. But if you discipline your mind daily, guarding what you watch, filtering what you listen to, choosing carefully the voices you allow in, you build a mental fortress that no storm can penetrate. Discipline also means saying no, not just to bad habits, but to good things that are not the right things. A disciplined mind does not chase every idea, every opportunity, every distraction. It asks, does this align with my purpose? Does this build me? Or does this break me? People without discipline say yes to everything and end up scattered, drained, and frustrated. People with discipline focus their energy like a laser, and that focus creates power. Think of a person who wants to break free from negative self-talk. At first, it feels impossible. Every mistake triggers the thought, I'm a failure. Every rejection whispers, I'm not enough. But a disciplined mind does not surrender to those voices. It interrupts them, challenges them, and replaces them. At the beginning, this feels like lifting weights, heavy and exhausting. But over time, the mind becomes stronger. Soon, the old negative patterns lose their grip, and positivity becomes the new default. That transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens by discipline. There is also the discipline of environment. You cannot expect to think like a champion if you surround yourself with constant negativity. Discipline means guarding your space. Sometimes it means turning off the news, stepping back from toxic conversations, or distancing yourself from people who only feed your doubts. Discipline is not punishment. It is protection. Just as a gardener builds a fence to protect the crops from animals, you must build boundaries to protect your mind from influences that would destroy your growth. Discipline also requires patience. In a world addicted to instant results, discipline is the reminder that great things take time. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see if it's growing. You water it, nurture it, and trust the process. Your mind works the same way. You may not see instant transformation the first day you discipline your thoughts, but over weeks, months, and years, the growth becomes undeniable. A disciplined mind does not panic at delay. It persists until the results appear. Think about successful entrepreneurs. Most people only see the product launch, the applause, the wealth. What they don't see is the countless nights of disciplined focus, fighting through doubt, ignoring distractions, resetting their mind after every rejection. Without discipline, their ideas would have stayed as dreams. But discipline turned thoughts into strategies and strategies into reality. That same power is available to you if you will train your mind daily. When your emotions rise, discipline steps in to keep you steady. When anger wants to control your response, discipline whispers, choose peace. When fear tells you to run, discipline reminds you, stand firm. When procrastination tempts you to delay, discipline pushes you to act now. Emotions are temporary, but discipline creates permanence. The people who master their emotions are not those who never feel fear, frustration, or fatigue. They are those who discipline their mind to act according to purpose, not according to feelings. Discipline transforms potential into power. It turns chaos into clarity. It separates the dreamers from the doers, the wishers from the achievers. It is not glamorous, it is not always exciting, but it is always effective. A disciplined mind becomes the foundation on which everything else in life is built. When you build it, there is nothing that can stop you from rising above challenges, breaking through limitations, and becoming everything you were created to be. Your mind is the engine room of your destiny, and every thought you choose to entertain is either building the future you desire or destroying the future you deserve. You must decide in this moment that your thoughts will no longer control you. You will control them. You are not weak. You are not powerless. And you are not a victim of your circumstances. You have the authority to reset your mind, to rise above negativity, and to create a life that reflects the greatness already within you. There comes a moment in life when you realize that the world does not shape you. You shape the world you see by the way you think. The person who sees impossibility is living in a prison of their own making. But the person who sees possibility is already walking in freedom. Your breakthrough will not come from outside of you. It begins in the inner world of your mind. That is why the most successful people are not the ones with the most money, the best education, or the perfect background. They are the ones who mastered their thinking and refuse to let their thoughts drag them down. You must rise up today and tell yourself, I am bigger than my fears, I am stronger than my doubts, and I am greater than my setbacks. You must dare to declare, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Because no matter how dark the night of negativity has been, the dawn of a new mindset can rise in you right now. You don't need permission from anyone else. You don't need validation from those who doubted you. All you need is the courage to flip the switch in your mind and say, from this moment forward, I refuse to think small. I refuse to think weak. I refuse to think defeated. The giants you face are not out there. They are in here. Fear is a giant, but giants fall. Doubt is a giant, but giants fall. Negativity is a giant, but giants fall. And every time you reset your mind, every time you replace weakness with strength, every time you shift focus from problem to possibility, you are slaying another giant that tried to hold you back. Remember this, your mind is a battlefield, but battles are meant to be won. Don't surrender to negative thoughts that were never meant to define you. Instead, stand tall and fight back with the words of power, with the thoughts of greatness, with the discipline of focus. Because the one who conquers their mind conquers their life. The one who wins within will always win without. You must see yourself as victorious before the victory arrives. Winners are not crowned on the stage. Winners are crowned in their minds long, before the applause. Champions are not made in the spotlight. Champions are made in the hidden places where no one is watching, where discipline, focus, and resilience are forged. The person who thinks like a champion will one day wear the crown of a champion. So reset your mind. Refuse to be the victim of negative thoughts. Refuse to allow yesterday's pain to poison today's progress. Refuse to give your energy to ideas that drain your power. Choose thoughts that lift you. Choose thoughts that fuel you. Choose thoughts that make you dangerous to mediocrity and unstoppable in the pursuit of your destiny. The greatest prison is not built with bricks and steel. It is built with negative thinking. And the greatest freedom is not found in wealth or status. It is found in the liberation of your mind. Today you hold the key. Today you can walk out of that prison and step into the wide, open fields of possibility. Your future is waiting for the boldness of your thoughts to meet it. This is your moment to rise. This is your moment to say, I will not be defeated by what enters my mind. I will decide what stays in my mind. Speak to yourself with the authority of someone who knows they were born for greatness. Tell yourself, I am unstoppable. I am resilient. I am a force to be reckoned with. Nothing can break me because I will not break myself with my own thoughts. The world is full of people who quit not because they lacked talent, but because they lacked the mental discipline to keep going. Don't let that be your story. Let your story be the one where you looked negativity in the face and said, you will not live here anymore. Let your story be the one where you silenced the voices of doubt and amplified the voice of destiny. Let your story be the one where your mind became the launch pad for everything powerful, everything meaningful, everything extraordinary in your life. You are not average. You are not ordinary. You are not here by accident. You are here to think higher, to rise stronger, to live bolder. Reset your mind and watch as doors open, opportunities appear, and strength rises in you like never before. Because once your mind is free, nothing in this world can hold you back.